Major roster changes coming after WrestleMania 33 on a special edition of Let's Talk Wrestling. Want to thank everybody for coming back to the Riggs Beast channel. Let's go beast on that subscribe button. Let's go beast on that like button. And let's go beast on this special edition of Let's Talk Wrestling, Roster Changes. The rumor of these roster changes really began back with the end of the fiscal year last year with Vince McMahon's conference call. And he noted about how the roster can move and even name drop Roman Reigns and how interesting it could be if he moved. And since then, there's been rumblings of this for a while, but Dave Meltzer, made on his Wrestling Observer podcast a claim that they're planning these roster changes for after 33. And it kind of makes sense. Now, if you go back to the brand splits of yesteryear, they would do the draft roughly a month or so after WrestleMania. And if WWE is planning on these major roster changes, chances are that's how they're going to do it. Now, personally, I would hold it around May or June, even in July, to give it some sense of formality. It happens every year. It's a once-a-year annual cycle. But WWE doesn't like to follow structure like that. So chances are they would easily do this in a month after WrestleMania, and that would be typical WWE. Now, if they're going to go through with these roster changes, when he hinted at Roman Reigns, it almost makes perfect sense for them to want to move him to SmackDown, mainly to do a shakeup of the rosters, a Roman Reigns for an AJ Styles, so to speak. They don't want to overload one show. They're going to do big name for big name. They do it all the time. Now, I would keep Roman on Raw, and I would put Roman in this new NWO like I proposed last week. But if we're going to go based on what WWE likes to do in a normal context, Roman would go to SmackDown, and AJ Styles would come to Raw, and then it would basically be a shuffle of the mid-card. That's typically what these drafts are. And like I said earlier, when Vince McMahon name-dropped a Roman Reigns, he meant to name-drop Roman Reigns. The man is meticulous. He may be way over the hill, and he may be so far out of touch he can't reach us from Canada. But he does know what he's doing, and he is meticulous, so I wouldn't be shocked if the big move is a Roman Reigns for an AJ Styles. Move Roman over to SmackDown to make as the big babyface, and to potentially set up that Roman Reigns-John Cena feud that he has such a hard-on for. Now, where this could get interesting is the moving of titles, and if there really is a formation of the New Evolution or a group coming with Triple H, what happens then? What do we do there? Do we move guys over from SmackDown to Raw that may join this group? There are interesting situations that can come from this, but I implore you to think logically with WWE and think back to drafts they used to do and think of roster changes they used to do. It usually is a swap of a big name for a swap of a big name, then a reshuffle of the mid-card, and nothing else happens. Guaranteed in this roster change would be a guy like The Miz going to Raw and his career being over. That's just the shit that they do. But some rumored roster name changes that are big, like I said, Roman over to SmackDown. AJ over to Raw is the biggest one and the one most likely to happen. Sami Zayn to SmackDown. Cesaro to SmackDown. Miz to Raw. Dean Ambrose to Raw has been another one that has been heavily talked about. That's another one that makes sense. The two big names from SmackDown that make sense to come to Raw and that have been heavily rumored to do so are AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose. It gives them more baby faces on the main card over at Raw. AJ would come over as a heel, but he's going to be a baby face. By the end of this year, AJ Styles will be a baby face in the WWE. So your top baby faces by the end of the year, if they do win the Raw, will be Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, and Dean Ambrose, all of which makes sense. And over on SmackDown, Roman Reigns, John Cena, Baron Corbin, and by the end of the year, Shinsuke Nakamura would probably be your four major players over on SmackDown. So it would make sense in aspect to do those roster changes. Those are the ones that have been heavily rumored, and those are the ones that I believe they're talking about, but I don't think they're going to happen via trades. What they've been known to do when they have brand splits is hold drafts shortly after WrestleMania. Now, may you see a small trade just to kind of spice things up? Sure. And by small trade, you could see mid-carder for mid-carder. And that's typical WWE when it comes to trades and or draft with their brand splits based on their history. A couple other items I wanted to go over in this special episode. Tom Phillips. Oh my fucking God. Todd Phillips. In case you don't know, Todd Phillips was basically borderline trying to sex this girl without pictures. Oh my fucking God. Yo, listen. Herm Edwards from ESPN had a famous line, and every time something like this comes up, it always comes into my head. Think before you press send. What the fuck is this motherfucker thinking? This man is trying. He's engaged, by the way. Keep this in mind. He's engaged. He's a popular commentator for a nation, an international branded company. And he's trying to get with a girl on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat. Yo, this motherfucker, he's stupid. I don't know what else to say. The man is retarded. He was added to SmackDown as the fourth announcer. God knows why you need four fucking announcers, but he was added as the fourth announcer. He had the internet getting mad, thinking that Mauro Ranallo was going to be released or Mauro Ranallo was quitting. Mauro Ranallo's never been safer than ever now. And Todd Phillips may not have a job, folks. He's definitely not going to be a lead announcer on SmackDown anytime soon with this coming out. And chances are, he's probably going to get fired for this. And the reason he would get fired for this is you got to remember, this is a publicly traded company. This isn't just Vince McMahon who will look at it and go, oh, Todd. No, that's not this. You have investors. You have stakeholders. You have stockholders. You have families to think about. Remember, this is family entertainment. You don't really want your 6-year-old girl going on Twitter and seeing screenshots of Todd Phillips saying, I'm going to face fuck you. I don't know what else to say about this. I really don't. I needed to bring this up. I needed to have comment about it. And I needed to get this out there to you guys because this is hilarious. This is honestly fucking hilarious. But that's the situation going on with Todd Phillips. Don't be shocked if he's not there on SmackDown. And if he is, they ain't going to put the camera on him too much and he's going to be quiet. That's all you need to know about that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about here was Alexa Bliss. If you didn't watch the ESPN interview with the coach and Alexa Bliss, go watch it. Go YouTube it. Go to ESPN and try to find it. It is a very touching, a very heart-wrenching, and real interview. To cut it mildly and really get to the beef of the interview, Alexa Bliss had a major eating disorder. And I did a video yesterday about fat shaming in terms of wrestling to Nia Jax and male large wrestlers and hypocritical wrestling fans and why they do it, so on and so on. Now, I'm not saying Alexa Bliss was fat shamed by anybody because she was always small. The girl was 80 pounds and thought she was big. But this is the stuff fat shaming could do to people, and you may not even know it. The girl was 24 hours away from being dead. Doctors wouldn't even let her go to sleep because they were afraid of her going into cardiac arrest and dying. The girl even now says she's thick and proud of it. She has to weigh what, 110 pounds? Maybe 120? I don't even think 120, 110? Max, 115. This is the real point I was getting to with fat shaming. You don't know what it can do to people. You don't know how it affects people. Now, in the case of Nia Jax was a relatively skinny, I don't want to say skinny-ish because she was always thick, but she was about 70 pounds, 80 pounds, 70 pounds we'll go with, lighter, before her WWE contract. And WWE had an idea for her, what it caused her, and had her gain weight so she could be a monster, stand out, and be different. That's why she's as big as she is now. Guaranteed within 6 months after she ends with WWE, she'll be back down to the weight in the pictures that I showed you. But this is the real life of it, folks. And I might be getting away from wrestling here a little bit, but so be it, because this is important. You don't know the things you say could do to people. And the internet could be a great place. It could be a great place for talking wrestling, for talking life. It's a tremendous platform. But it can also be a very dark, demented, and ugly place. And you look at a girl like Alexa Bliss, which everybody finds attractive, and I got no issues with you there. But even she thought she was large, and she never was. Go back and look her up. She never was. And she fat shamed herself to the point of near death. Guys, death. So in linking the Tom Phillips story, yes, I got a little chuckle out of saying I'm linking Tom Phillips to this. Think before you click send. You think because it goes on the internet, it's just funny. And nobody pays attention and nobody cares. It's just a random post or a random message on the internet. You're wrong, guys. You're absolutely wrong. People kill themselves every day, commit suicide from fat shaming, from bullying. And that's essentially what it is. But you think because they're performers, they're entertainers, that they're immune to real life thought and to real life emotion. Well, you're wrong. Now, I'm not saying Nia Jax or any performer right now in the WWE is being hurt by bullying or any crap like that. Not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is you never know what you're saying and what your words can do. So the next time you shame somebody for not being in an image that you find fit, just think about Alexa Bliss. Just think about that girl being 24 hours away from dying because she thought at 80 pounds she was fat. And if anybody who listens to me happens to go to school, you may not have it great at home, and that may be why you lash out. But think about this the next time you lash out at somebody. What if they have it worse? What if they're in the same boat you are, and all you're doing is making it worse? Now listen, I'm not saying you can't have fun, you can't poke at each other. Hell, going back and forth and busting balls is one of the great parts of friendship and one of the great parts of just having a laugh. But people take it too far. People take it way too far. And after hearing that Alexa Bliss story, after the video I made yesterday, I had to get these thoughts out there. I had to put them out on the internet for anybody who listens to at least contemplate, to at least think about. Maybe before you send that next tweet, or before you put that next message on a message board, or before you comment on somebody else's channel. You at least think before you press send. That's all I ask. I don't ask you to change who you are. Be who you are. I'm Riggs Beast. Will and always. I want you to be who you are too. But all I ask is that before you say something, think. Just think. Think before you press send. Think before you speak. And try to think about the other side. Try to think about the other person before you say what you're going to say. And that's going to do it for this special episode of Let's Talk Wrestling. Let's go beast on that subscribe button, and let's go beast on that like button. And of course, guys, keep it beast.